Rex Sikes come on. Rex has been in longevity, believe it or not, for a very, very, very long time in the organization of a guy named Noah Sigmund, who may get on here this morning, Fred Van Loo, who may get on here this morning, and Scott Farduas and Juliet Farduas, who may get on here this morning. But if they don't, we're going to carry on. I have been a fan of Rex forever. I just sent his bio to Julie to put into the comments. So take a look, and when you get a chance, read that. This guy, you know, I have been a personal development guy forever, and I'll never forget this guy that walked up to me and said, Tom, you're being brainwashed. And I looked at the guy straight in the eye and said, yeah, I know, all the time. He said, because I am so goofed up, my brain needs washing. And I have done so much. And no matter what I do, the water gets deeper and deeper and deeper because my life gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And about a year ago, I was in an absolute conundrum. And I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. I was stuck. And I knew my brain needed washing, and I knew my attitude needed changing, and I knew that my spirits needed uplifted. And I didn't call Michael Burnoff. I didn't call the Landmark Forum. I didn't call Dan Gibbons in Convergence. I didn't call Robert White and LifeSpring. I didn't call my friends over at Sci Seminars. I called Rex Sikes. And I said, Rex, I am in a terrible mind spot because I feel like I'm blocked, and I have not got the luxury of being able to be blocked right this minute because I've got a big problem and I've got a big game to play. And will you spend some time with me on the phone and get me out of this spot and get me into one that is going to let me just absolutely slay that dragon that needed slayed? And he did it. He did it. And the rest is history. I got through it. I was scared, I was behind, and I thought today, you know, nothing could be better for every one of us. As I go through the Hair on Fire call and I go through the afternoon trainings, and everybody's right at the cusp of big things, but we're staying at the cusp of big things. And that is the most uncomfortable place to be on the planet, because we know we've got big things going and in store for us, but we also know that we're stopped. That little piece that's missing. How can Tom Chenault or these other people pick up that phone? How can they walk in a coffee shop? How can they take that conversation from, it's in my mind, I know I've got the right thing, I've got the person right in front of me, and I am paralyzed. I don't know what to say. I've got the training, I know what to say, I just don't do it. So that's why I found Rex, called him on the phone that was yesterday, and I said, Rex, would you come on and get with my favorite crew on the planet? These people are incredible. This one guy was in the movie Something About Mary. His name is Carl DeVere. This one woman was a beautiful, beautiful woman 20 years ago and is more beautiful than they. Her name is Larry Brazel. This guy, Paul Langston, up in Minnesota, is absolutely, he's got a Y a mile wide. I love the guy. Sally Shadbourne down in Oklahoma. This woman's got a little grandchild that she's raising. It's the most heartwarming story in the world. And I can go on. Denise Dunlap, this woman can make a horse go 50 miles an hour across an arena and stop on a dime. I'm going right across the line just telling your stories. So anybody that feels excluded, you just weren't on my top line. I am committed. Every one of you break free. And Rex wrote a book. It's unbelievable. I've helped him with a couple things going on with his life. He and I are going to do a great big project that kind of started talking about that when I was in trouble, but I was so big trying to get myself out of that problem I had that I haven't really had time to pay attention to it until Rex brought it up again yesterday. He said, let's do that project. I said, hell yes, let's do it. Because nothing stops us. Nothing stops us. Just say yes. So Rex Sikes, how are you, buddy? You got to unmute yourself.
I have to unmute. I am much better now, Tom. Anytime I get to spend time with you and share space with you, it is an awesome time and an awesome day, and it's always an uplifting experience. Plus, I see some old friends and some new friends, and that means just everything is delightful.
Well, we're happy to have you aboard. And, you know, like I said, you were there. I called you. I was in the jackpot on something. I had thought deeply, thought too much actually, and I called you on the phone and said, I gotta stop thinking, start doing. Would you help me? And you didn't. It was unbelievable. It was a yes instantly. And we started doing a little bit of work. He's an expert in neuro-linguistic programming, and he just went in there in Tom's brain and refiled some stuff, and the rest is history. So I just want you guys to know he's the real deal. You probably want to buy his book, but what I really want you to do is listen to him right now. What would you say to a bunch of people coming out of the ether from COVID, coming out of the ether from circumstance, coming out of the ether from I can't to I can? How do we do that?
Wow, it's beautiful. Well, let me first say, when you called me, the thing that I know is true about you is that you play big, and you're a big player, and you believe in yourself, and you believe in your people, and you believe in the resources around you. And you're the kind of guy that I want to hang out with because you don't let things stop you. And when you did have some difficulty, you reached out. And sadly, so many people, when they have difficulty, don't. They just overthink. They get caught in a downward spiral, and they forget that all the resources that you need to move forward are within you. You're filled with infinite possibilities and infinite opportunities. They're not only within you, they're around you. They're in your family, your circle of friends. They're in strangers. They're in ideas and in actions that haven't even transpired yet. We live in such a beautiful space, and yet most people think so small. And it was funny because one of the quotes that was scrolled through earlier is very similar to something that I've said for decades, and that is, you've got dog crap and diamonds, and it's your choice. And it's always your choice. People like to think that, it's the circumstances, it's the events, it's the other people that hold us back. It really isn't. It's what goes on in here and in your heart. And if you get your head right, your heart right, your speech will be right, your actions will be right, and you can take any and every step you need to take in order to make your dreams come true. So that's the good news. And one of my favorite quotes, I'll give you two of them, but one of my favorite quotes was by Henry Ford. He said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're correct. But for a lot of people, they don't think they can. And so they're right about that, right? They can't, because they think it's impossible, or that they couldn't do it, or that they don't have the skills, or that they don't have enough knowledge, or that they don't have the resources. So if you're thinking like that, you first have to move from thinking that I can't do it, or it's impossible, to that, maybe it is possible. And look around, are there other people who are doing it? Because if other people are doing it, it's likely you could do it. You may not know how yet, you may not have the resources yet, you may not be connected up yet, but if other people can do it, they're human, you're human, it's very likely that you could do it. So you move from, I don't think I can, it's impossible, to, you know what, maybe I could learn to do it. Maybe I could make this possible for me. And as you take those steps, and they can be tiny little baby steps, you begin to think, I can do it. And when you think you can do it, the next step is to go, I will do it. And from there you go, I did it. Because your thoughts lead to the actions and the words that you speak and the results that you get. So when those are all aligned and you're congruent in your space, then anything and almost everything, according to natural laws, is possible for you or me in the universe. I mean, that is, such a thrilling news. Never let your thoughts stop you. I've done seminars and workshops all around the globe for over 40 years. And one of the first questions I ask people, they go, what stops most people? And they go fear, and they go this, and they go that, and they go that, and they go. But when all is said and done, what is it? It's a thought. It's a mental packet of invisible energy that's preventing someone who's thinking it from moving forward. And Henry Ford said the second quote, which is the one I love even more than the first one. He said, I never let what I cannot do prevent me from doing what I can. So never let a thought stop you. Never let the idea that you can't, or you don't know how, or that there isn't the resources, or that people won't like you, or that whatever it is, prevent you from doing what you can do. And I will pass the mic back after this, but I teach in all of my workshops, in my design and the NLP programs and everything I do, a little bit of juggling. And why do I do that? Because when people first start to learn to juggle, most of them think they can't, or it looks like it's impossible. And they're worried about dropping balls. And the first thing you need to know about juggling is you're going to drop balls. You're going to drop balls. That's part of juggling. Even master jugglers drop balls. So go ahead and drop the ball. I always get the square one, so you don't have to chase them unless you like extra exercise, but you juggle. And guess what? When you start, it's a little bit tough. It's a little bit difficult. You're trying to coordinate lots of things. Your brain doesn't know how to do it. You haven't done it before. And so you're trying to do all this stuff at one time. And you know what? If you stay with it, the more you do it, the easier it gets and the better you get. If you quit, if you go, I'm never going to get this. This is stupid. I can't do this. This is dumb. And you quit, you'll never juggle. It also helps if you really like and want and are loving, you know, oh, yeah, I love this. This is fun. Because the more fun you have, the more you're wanting to do it. So with a little bit of effort, meaning you just do what is necessary in order to make it happen, with that little bit, the more you do it correctly, repeatedly, consistently for long enough, the bigger, the better, the easier the habit it becomes. And the easier it gets, the better you get. And the better you get, the easier it gets. So it's this synergistic cybernetic loop. And pretty soon you're juggling. And then you're juggling more. And then you say, well, you know what? I've juggled 3 balls. Now let me juggle 4. Now let me juggle 5. And then pretty soon you're sitting on a tightrope, balancing on one leg of a chair, you know, juggling an egg, a bowling ball, and a chainsaw. And you're going, wow, isn't this fun? Because you've learned the process of mastering skills, but you first have to master your thoughts, your heart space, your words, and then your actions all follow.
Wow, you guys, it's the truth. So here's how he came back into my life. He's been in longevity for years. I've talked to him every year or so because he's doing giant stuff all over the place. But you guys remember when I was trying to track down this guy, and this book's called Can You Really Think and Grow Rich? Keys to Unlock an Extraordinary Life. And this guy's name was Rami El Badre or something like that. And he's on Facebook and he's flying around in his own 727. He used to work for a guy named Adnan Khashoggi. I mean, this guy thinks so big, and he went bankrupt about 5 years ago. And it did not even slow him down. He went bankrupt back to a billionaire because he believed he could. And no one believed he could. And right now, he's doing something with the country of Guyana that is unbelievable. So I see him on Facebook. I'm going, holy cow, this guy is out of his mind. Cool. How can I get in front of him? Which is what I tell all of you. So Lori Brazel in the middle of the night last night, like 1 a.m., wrote me a note and said, I want to meet Lady Gaga. And I didn't write her back and say, you got no shot of meeting Lady Gaga. You got no shot. I did not. I started thinking, you know, whether it's Taylor Swift or Rami. So here's what I did. I looked on there and I said, okay, this guy, I'm never going to get to cold calling him. Who knows him? So it turns out Rex knew him. And the people from Think and Grow Rich, those huge people, Don Green and this woman named Siona. And I go, and a guy named Walls, so Ken Walls. So I start dialing the phone and I called up Rex Sikes and I said, I want to talk to the guy. He says, here's his phone number. Call him. Call him. So I call Ronnie. Doesn't take my call. So I called up Ken Walls. He said, call him. Everybody just says, call him. I said, I've got his phone number. And they're all going, well, if you got his phone number, you idiot, call him. So I started texting Rami and I dropped Rex's name. Phone rings. It's Rami. How are you? Fine. What are you doing, Rami? He's like the most boring guy in the world on the phone. I'm like this guy cannot be this. But I'm telling you what, this guy was this, and it was really him. And I've developed a relationship with him as a result of connecting with Scott Bardois, who connected me with Fred, who's connected me with Noah, who connected me with Rex, and Rex connected me with Ronnie. You never forget who connected you. No matter how you feel, you can get sideways, you can get mad at each other. Never forget who connected you. Because I'm telling you one thing right now, it will come back to either bless you or it will come back to haunt you. And so I want all of you to lock that in your brain. And Rex, that's what happened exactly, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It truly is. And I want to add a little bit to what you just said, but not about Rami at the moment, but about the connections. Because I got a phone call from a friend of mine at one point who said, I have somebody who I'd like you to talk to. Would you like to talk to Fred Van Loo? And I was like, Fred Van Loo? I know who Fred Van Loo is. I mean, he's the water doctor. I know who he is. And I got his shower heads and things. Yeah, absolutely. So it was a Friday night about 10 o'clock. And we do a 3-way. And Fred is on the phone and he says, "Oh, where are you now?" And I said, "Well, I live in Los Angeles and Wisconsin, but I'm raising my kids in Wisconsin." So he said, "Well, there's a guy who's, not far from you probably. His name is Noah Sigmund." And I'm like, "Noah Sigmund, I've known him since he was a kid." I mean, oh my God. So I got in touch with Noah, and then Noah had an event and you came to the event and we met. And I mean, I'm talking about, a small world. And so it's truly beautiful. And yeah, and Ramey, I've known for some time, and I'm happy that worked out. And by the way, I have a request. Anybody who's watching, I want Taylor Swift to endorse my book. I want I want Taylor Swift to hold it up and go, everybody in the world has to buy this book. So if anybody knows her, can get to her, feel free to connect me up.
And here's the deal. You start saying something like that,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, Bronwyn Clinton down in Brisbane says, "Oh, Tom, my cousin up in Austria her husband is the security guard for Taylor Swift." And that didn't happen, but
No.
You never know how small the world is if you let the world be small. If you let the world be big, you're dead, right, Rex?
Well, absolutely. And one of the things that I love you for is the way that you appreciate people and uplift people and edify people and connect people. I mean, you've got a marvelous business that you started at, about connecting people and about tracking things and keeping them in your mind. And I mean, it's such a small world when you think about it. It used to be, 6 degrees of separation. It's really more like 1 degree of separation now. I just have recently connected up a number of people who never thought that they would ever be connected. And I'm happy and proud to say that I made that happen. But I had been trying to connect to somebody who I couldn't get to, and I pursued for like a year or two. And just recently they connected, and I said, "Oh gosh, I've been trying to reach this person forever." They go, "Here you go." And it happened. So you have to always stay open to the possibility that right around the corner, something good is going to happen to you if you're open and available to it. If you get stressed or you're worried or you fret a lot, what happens is, our neurology actually constricts. Our peripheral vision constricts. When we're stressed, it's like the fight or flight syndrome, and we're not available to opportunities and possibilities around us. But when you're in this kind of flow state, and when you're open, and when you're loving your friends and your family and the people around you, and when you know that there's more good that happens in the world than it's bad. I mean, the media, that everything wants us to think about all the stuff that's wrong, but there's really a whole lot more good stuff. And my 16-year-old son came to me one day many years ago when he was 16. He's now like 22. But he said, "Do you think the world's ending?" And I said, "Well, why would you ask me that?" He said, "Well, because of all the circumstances and all the calamity and all the stuff that's going on." And I said, "Well, let me tell you something. There's all sorts of stuff that goes on in the world. And what you hear on the news is the exception. It's the rarity. It's the oddity. It's the thing. That's why it's news. Because if it's like everything else, it wouldn't be news. So they tell you all the stuff that's going on, the earthquakes, the political drama, the crimes, all the health scares, everything to be afraid of." I said, when 9/11 happened, a horrible thing happened, but all these people rushed in to help other people. So there's, and when there's a traffic accident or something, many people stop along the road to provide help without even thinking about their own safety, but to try and help other people. There are far more good people in the world than there are bad people in the world. There are far more better weather days than there are bad weather days. So there's just, so the question becomes are there far better thoughts in your head, or are there dog shit thoughts in your head?
Yeah.
If there's dog shit thoughts in your head, then the only person who can make that change is you.
Absolutely right. And it's not what we're willing to give most of the time. It's what we're willing to give up. Right. And that giving up is our stupid opinions about this, that, and the other thing that matter far less than the human being across the table. Love like crazy, then love more. If you watched the Nuggets on TV last night, my phone was blowing up. Denise Dunlap. I wore that bright pink sweatshirt. I sat right behind the Nuggets bench. My wife is a raving lunatic, screaming, standing on the chairs. And it was all about what you give up, not what you give. I didn't care who was sitting next to me. I didn't care about the little alcoholic guy that brought his catatonic friend that was about 7 feet tall and about that wide that was sitting right in front of me. But he was so catatonic, he never stood up. He just stood up. It would have been like the eclipse. And I just kept praying, "Don't stand up, buddy." But he never stood up. But the point I make to all of you, stop judging. Stop separating. Embrace and love. no matter what color they are, no matter what religion they are, no matter what sexual preference they are, no matter what politics they'd have. Love like crazy, then love more. You're not God. They're not God. God's God, and give it up and love like crazy, then love more. Right, Rex?
Absolutely. You know what I don't need, and it doesn't serve me, and I can't use it, and it are my baby shoes.
Yeah.
I mean, they might have fond memories or horrible memories attached to them, but I can't wear them. And sadly, what most people do is they walk around in the world today wearing every piece of clothing that they ever possessed or owned or borrowed. Now think about that for a second. If you were to do that, you wouldn't be able to move. And yet that's what people do with bad memories, even good memories for that matter, but bad memories and horrible experiences and things that they feel wrong or labeled as bad or judge as unwanted. And what you have to do is divest yourself of that. You have to take it all off. You have to release, let go, and just drop it. And people say, "Well, you don't understand. I've been suffering for 40 years." They go, "Yeah," and you're perpetuating the suffering. If you keep thinking about it, you're going to keep feeling it. And if you keep feeling it, you're going to keep thinking about it. So you have to just stop and let it go. And there are ways to do that, but unfortunately, in many cases, people coddle others. And I'm not talking about being tough love or being a brave or any of this. I'm just saying that there are people with all good intentions who help people continue the suffering process by saying, well, that's who you are, and I mean, it's one thing to accept it. It's another thing to accept it and release it. And what they don't really get to the point is release it, let go, and move forward and move on into the possibilities that you haven't yet explored. We all have crap in our history. We all make mistakes. I make mistakes every day. Thank goodness I make mistakes and thank goodness there's pain and suffering. And people don't want to hear that. But you know what? We are creatures that evolved to move away from pain and move toward pleasure. So when there is hardship or obstacles or difficulty or tough times, it helps us get out of our comfort zones. I mean, there's two choices. Again, dog, shit, or diamonds. You wallow and whine, or you rise up and you become a victor. But without it, you won't do anything, so it's kind of like these hardships come along to help us. And I'm not saying that they're divinely inspired or any of that stuff. I mean, let's just leave all that aside. Whatever happens but how you respond to it or react to it matters. And if bad stuff is happening, know that it's a way of getting you to move. You're going to move. And sadly, most people respond in habits, or they react by habits. They get angry, they get frustrated, they get sad, but you don't have to. Just because you've done it in the past doesn't mean you have to do it in the future. And that definition of insanity of, if you always do what you always did, but expect a different result, you're crazy, is a huge point for people to get. Whether that's being mad over something that you burned on the stove, or lose a big financial deal, or have a fight with a person you care about. You have to understand that all of it can be good. If you consider something a problem, it will be a problem. If you consider it a blessing, it will be a blessing. And that's why I say celebrate all of it.
I agree with you 100%. Talk about this great big seminar that you're just about to do with Ty Lopez, all these incredible people on this planet. I mean, that's the crowd you roll with. Yeah. That's where you love to live your life, is playing it bigger than even you imagined playing it. And all you did was stuck your chin out and refused to say no. And, Bronwyn Clinton just had the guts to ask you to come on her great podcast. One of two things can happen there. One of two things. He's going to say no, or he's going to say yes. Either answer, Bronwyn's not going to die. Had she never asked the question, nothing ever would have happened. I live for no's because I know that I'm getting that much closer to a yes. I'm going out to Mississippi. I got to buy a ticket today. I buy a one-way ticket. You guys know that. And I'll fly out there either tonight. I'm going to look at the airplanes and see how many people's on them. And then I'm going to figure out if I'm flying out tonight or tomorrow. But I get to go see Lorene Williamson. I get to go see that area that just got hit with all those tornadoes. Why am I going there? I don't know. I think I'm going there to do Lorene's meeting. But God's always got a much bigger plan for me than I have for myself. And it's always more fun. And there's always more opportunity in there. And my friend Joe Stradinger reached out to me and said, I heard you're coming because I put it out on Facebook that I was going out to Mississippi. He said, if you can, come by. And it's just amazing how small the world is if you let it be. And it's amazing how big it is if you just say, you know, I can't do it. Stop it. And that's why I wanted him on here. Go to rexsikes.com. Tell him about your book a little bit, will you please? I'm actually in his book, which is cool. I helped him with it. Go ahead.
So absolutely true. The book is great. You know, I just had a big conversation about it yesterday on a show that I do called Create Your Best Life with Rex. And that's on YouTube that you can find if you just search that name. But it took me a year or two to design the book and to lay it out, because I use whole brain and accelerated learning techniques in order to be able to appeal to the reader and make it very palatable, very easy to understand, as well as applicable. And it's like my voice, you know, whispering in your ear, and it's filled with stories of people who have overcome great odds, as well as some of my own stories, and principles and practices and methods and strategies and tips and techniques that you can use to make your life better. You know, most people don't realize it, but very simple things. And I know that everybody here on the call probably knows this, but if you just smile more throughout the day, your day gets better. And there's a physiological reason to that, you know, the mystics and the thought leaders of thousands of years ago didn't understand the science behind it, perhaps, but they knew that just by raising up your lips and crinkling up your eyes and smiling and doing that to your face releases happy chemicals inside your body, and it helps alleviate stress. So just the act of smiling more, the act of saying thank you throughout the day and being grateful and living a day of praise. You know, this is the Lord the day hath made. Rejoice and be glad in it. And yet most people drag their ass through the day. So my book is designed to help people. It's called Life on Your Terms. Create the life that you want. And it's designed exactly to help you do that. It's transforming people's lives all around the world. If you don't have the book, I encourage you to get it. And here's my promise to you and my offer. You go get the book from Amazon. If you see, I don't think you can see it there, but it's rexsikes.com/book. If you go there, it'll give you details of how you get the book from Amazon, bring your receipt code back, and I will give you a $497 online training on the process of mastery and how you can learn to master your thoughts, your feelings, your speech, your behaviors, and any talent or ability you'd like to master, how that learning process happens. And if you go do that today and you order the soft cover or hardcover from Amazon, you'll get the training before you even get the book. So, but I give that to people because I wanted to do something extra for people who have invested in themselves by getting the book and applying the book. Now, I'm going to say something really important, and everybody should know this. I'm an actor, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a director, I produce things, and I taught acting years ago. And people used to always have this thing: is the script more important or the actor? You know, what's really the important part? Well, in truth, both. But I would take a script, I would throw it on the ground, and I would go act.
Wow. That is so cool.
Well, and usually they get the point, but if they didn't, you have to say act. You notice it doesn't do anything. It takes an actor to bring that to life. So if the actor has good lines and a good story and all the right things, it becomes wonderful. You know, a bad story, you know, you can act a bad story. But the point is, a script does nothing. A book does nothing. I can tell you what to do, and if you do nothing with it, you know, there's that saying, you know, he who has eyes see, and he who has ears hear, but not everybody that sees, and not everybody hears answers the call. So many are called, but few are chosen. You know, that sort of thing. You have to be awake and alert and aware to notice, hey, like Tom, I got to reach out to somebody. Or like me saying, hey, you know what, I want Taylor Swift to read my book. Or to connect the people up. You have to notice, you know, where you are and what surrounds you, and then take advantage of that in a positive way that uplifts everybody, you know, because we're all in it together. It's about cooperation, not competition, and harmony and unity over everything else. And when you're harmonious in yourself, and that's what the book is designed to do, create harmony within your head and your heart, your speech and your behaviors, then everything starts working for you. Now, I want to say something really important. I have disasters happen every day. They still do. I've lost money and made money. I've had friends get mad at me or whatever, and things happen. I cook something and I take it to the table and I drop it on the floor, and I'm like, oh, right? Things happen. It's not that bad things don't happen. Be glad that they do. I talked about that before. It's how you get through the bad things. It's how you respond to the bad things. You can consider it a problem or you consider it a blessing. And that's why I say celebrate everything. Now, I will also tell you about Leadership Week because you did ask about that. And I want to make sure somebody can put it in the chat for me. It's laleadershipweek.com.
LAleadershipweek.com.
I think so. I can't quite see my own graphic here, but it's because it's very tiny. LAleadershipweek.com. Yeah, and if it's not, I'll correct it before we're done. But what we're doing is from May 1st to May 7th. I partnered with the LA Tribune. I did a show called All Things Rex Worldwide on the Tribune, and you were on the show, and a wonderful guest you are, by the way. We're doing a week summit online. It's absolutely free. You use that link to register, and you want to register because there's free gifts and giveaways and things for the people who register. And if you're not registered, but you watch it on YouTube, you don't get the benefit of all the goodies. So register and attend. And if you can't be there live, you can always watch it in the replay. But it's absolutely free in that regard. And yeah, it's Ty Lopez. Let me trying to remember. I just brought in Russell Brunson. Ty Lopez, Brian Tracy, Sharon Lecter, myself, Joe Vitale, and a whole host of other people that I don't remember off the top of my head. But we're spending that week from the 1st to the 7th of May discussing leadership and the qualities of leadership. And I always say you lead by example, not by your speech. Leaders don't call themselves leaders. Other people call them leaders because they're too busy leading to, Jesus didn't go, hey, aren't I cool? Look at who I healed. Hey, by the way, I raised that guy from the dead. And you know what else I did? I took 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. I've had thousands of people. I mean, I'm just so impressive. Don't you want to follow me? He didn't have to do it. He was busy being who he was and is. And so then people gravitate to him or they don't if they're not aware. So true leadership comes from who you are, not what you say, not what you do, not what you wear, and not what you pose in front of in a picture. I mean, that's really important for everybody to know. So the Leadership Week is great. After that, May 18th and 19th, I'm in Temecula, California with Joe Vitale. We're doing a live event, the two of us, again, with the Los Angeles Tribune and Mo Rock, who is the CEO, and Doria Cordova. If you don't know who Doria is, you certainly want to know her. She is the rights owner to Money and You, which a lot of the thought leaders who you know of have done her programs too.
That is so cool, you guys. But do you realize we interview people with our eyes? He got on here. You guys are going, who's Rex Sikes? And now you're going, I got to follow this guy. Who the heck is he? I didn't know he was in Longevity. I didn't know Fred brought him in. I didn't know this. I didn't know that. Yeah, that's what's so crazy is you people are at the cusp of greatness. All you need to do is believe it at the level that you have to believe it, which is I can do anything. Once you get there from here, look at Stan and Laura and Linda Sue Brinkley. They're transforming Oklahoma and Texas. Look what Lorene is doing. And then we got these people shooting at each other, circling the wagons and shooting at each other instead of unifying everybody. Stop it. We don't want to do that. We want to make this world one big hug. That's all it is. So Rex, this guy that's going to come out and close this thing out, Carl didn't get into the movie Any Given Sunday. He didn't get into the movie Something About Mary. He did not get into the movie and the acting business because they discovered that mug right there. Look this way, Carl. Look. Yeah, they didn't say that nose should be in Hollywood. They did not do that. What they said was Carl knocked down doors. Knocked down doors. Acting is synonymous with the word rejection. It's unbelievable. I don't know how actors and models do it. It is every day. You think it's bad being a network marketer? You try being an actor or a model or something like that. It is constant. There's one person that gets the part and the line goes around the building. Everybody wants that part. Carl and Rex won that game. You don't know it, but George Clooney's acting coach lives just down the road here in Colorado. And I am telling you, it is so cool seeing what people, the amount of grit, somebody takes some pictures of these two guys, the amount of grit and everything else that it takes, it's unbelievable. So Carl is going to take us out. Rex, I can't thank you enough for coming on. We're going to do more with you. Everybody buy his book and let's get dancing. And I'm telling you, you got to stay, you look terrible. So we got to get you some more vitamins and minerals. I'm kidding you. So the name of the, I don't think you thought that was that funny. Tell your face how funny you thought that joke was. You don't look that bad. So actually you look good. So anyway, let's go to work here. Carl, take us out, baby.